Everybody, welcome to another video. This one's day 3 of the Qlik 24 days of visualizations and concerns the Sunburst chart. Not my favorite chart, and I'll tell you why that is when we get towards the end of the video. Okay, so I use ChatGPT to get a bit of a description of the Sunburst chart. It's a visualization that displays hierarchical data in a circular format. Go figure. So in terms of the way Qlik needs to do things, it needs to calculate some percentages and some values and then a rotation around those things. So on the next couple of pages, we'll just quickly look at how it does that. And let's have an assumption that we're in this category name order, because that's the order we're going to use for our charts. So a couple of things to look at here. We need to figure out the start percentage, so where that particular dimension starts. And in this case, we're using a formula called range sum, and then we're looking above, and we're going above and then using the row number to make the calculation. So in this case, a 1 is the row above the current row. And in the first row, that's going to result in a 0%, which is what we want for our first row. And then in the end percentage, we're using a 0 instead of a 1 here. So that's the current row. And remember that row number gives us the number of rows that are in here. So this gets progressively larger as we go down each row in the calculation. Okay, we also need to figure out how much to rotate the chart, and we can use this formula to figure out how much to rotate the chart. And I've added a few extra columns in to show how that calculation is made. I know my face is over the top of some of the values, but essentially we've got $69,000 worth of sales on 1.7 million. That's 3%, and 3% of 360 is 14 degrees. So that's how that's working. A couple of other things. We need to figure out the location, and we use the location formula here. And essentially what this does, it concatenates together a series of values. So we'll have a look at that on a subsequent page. And then in the calculation, we need to put in categories and products into the calculation. And so in this case, this very first one here is making the circle in the middle of the chart. And then it's putting in categories and products. The CHR10, for those who haven't used it, is a line feed. And so that puts and products on the second line. So there are two area layers in this one. That we've got our circle in the middle that's just got categories and so on in the name, and it's a circle. And then the next one is category name, and then the next one after that is product name. They're really treated in the same way, so I'll throw them together into this calculation. So the way Qlik is being used to do this, it's generating 1,000 values and dividing the record number by 1,000 to give us some calculations, the percentage, and the record number divided by 1,000 times 2 times pi to give us the radius of that small section. So let's have a look at the next page and see how that works. Essentially there we've got a concat. We're putting a square bracket at the beginning and the end. Then we're concatenating all the values that will work for this together and doing a few other calculations. And this is part of the result that we get from that set. Now that set gets then fed into the next page where we're calculating the size of the segment. So this is very similar to what I showed you before. So we don't need to go through that one very much. But when we look at the next one, something of interest is that we have to figure out the rotation of the chart. So in this formula here, once we get past 180 degrees down here, things get flipped around so that they read up the correct way. So we've got women's wear over here and men's footwear over here facing in the same direction. If we didn't do that, we'd end up with men's footwear looking like this, so being upside down. And then we need to do the calculate the colors. We're using a pick command to do that. So category ID, and then if it's a 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., gives those colors. In summary, the chart looks impressive, I guess, but I think it's overly complex to create and fails to be useful when there's more than a few values in the 2 dimensions. So I wouldn't really recommend using this one. I don't think it's the greatest idea. I have a rule that when you show a visualization, people should be able to understand what it is within 10 seconds. And I think for this one, that's not an easy thing to do. Okay, so we'll go to the last page, which is the subscribe page. So if you've liked this one, if it's useful, please subscribe, like the video. That really helps me. I'm about 10% to the number of subscribers I need to keep Google happy. And so visualizing that, I need about another 2 years to get to that, and that's too long. So please subscribe. Thank you.